My name is Jalisa, and this is my story. About 5 months ago, up until about 5 months ago, I was the type of person who had a plan for everything. I knew what type of career I wanted. I knew how many children I wanted, what type of neighborhood I wanted to live in. I always felt that I was a decent person. I always cared about other people and tried to do what was right. I had relationships like most people do, and they would get to a certain point, and then I would feel like either they weren't fitting into my plan or I just would back off and then I would end it. And I started to realize that my life was almost like a cycle or like a pattern. The plans that I had were just not working out. Take a job because it seemed like a better job, even though I liked the one I had, just because it seemed like it would fit into my plan better. Something bad would happen, and I would move on to the next one, and the same thing would happen with relationships. And after a while, I just got to a point where I just felt lost and broken, and I just didn't know what to do. So I ended up meeting this really amazing person named Jason, who was going to help me through this tough time. And one of the first questions that he asked me was, what is your relationship with God like? Do you pray? Do you go to church? And my answer to that was, I believe in God, I pray, but I do not go to church. Jason said, why don't we go check out this church called Two Rivers Church? And he sent me a link to a video of Pastor Will preaching, I believe the topic was Better Together. So I checked out the video, and I was like, wow. He preaches in a way that I can understand, even though I've never been to church before. And he's talking about things and struggles and battles that we deal with every day that we can relate to. So I was definitely interested in checking out the church. I was a little skeptical because churches that I had gone to in the past, I just didn't have great experiences, and this is why I hadn't been to church. I decided a few years ago to check out some churches. The first church that we went to, I just didn't feel comfortable. I mean, everybody had been going there since they were younger. We just didn't fit in. And then there was one church where we weren't dressed properly. And the third church, the pastor had asked us to open up to a certain Bible verse. And for someone who's never really read the Bible, it's kind of hard to just open this big book and flip to a certain verse. And so everybody had tabs, and we're just flipping through the pages, and they're making all this noise, and they're done reading the verse, and everyone's looking at us, and we're just like, oh my gosh. And I know that they're thinking, oh my gosh, this girl's like in her late teens, she's never been to church before, what's wrong with her? And very uncomfortable situation. And when you're in an uncomfortable situation, what do? You remove yourself from it. I hadn't gone back to church since then. So we went to the church on a Sunday, which actually the church is one street over. It took literally 30 seconds to get there, which is like a bonus in itself. So we get there, and my very first impression of Two Rivers Church, there were people welcoming you from outside before you even stepped inside. And they were like, welcome to Two Rivers, and they were excited, and they were happy, and they shook your hand, they gave you a hug, and they knew that I was new there. So that means that they pay attention to the people that come. I was just like, oh my goodness, this is great. You could just feel the love, and you could just feel the excitement. So we get inside, and shortly after that, the music starts to play, and it was like a concert. There were like lights and guitars, and it was just awesome. And the couple of songs, I just kind of, swayed back and forth because I was still nervous. But after the third song started to play, I was like clapping and singing by that point, and the words are in the back so you can, sing along and everything, and it was awesome. And since that day, I've been coming to church every Sunday. The next Sunday, my mom came with me. She loved it too. And it's just our time where we praise, we worship, and even our time of bonding together through God. And it's just amazing. I just want to say that God's love is so apparent that it's here at Two Rivers Church. And that you do not need to be a perfect person to be loved by a perfect God. We all make mistakes. And if God can forgive us and love us, why can't we forgive and love ourselves?